Hey guys, I thought I would try something a little different today. Just a kind of casual sketchbook flip through. I kind of have a more experimental sketchbook, so I don't have a ton of really perfect finished pieces, but I thought you guys would like to see what I have inside, so let's go. These were some negative painting studies that I did. I don't know why I did them upside down. I've got a lot of tests in my book. So this is the Van Gogh student grade paints from Rembrandt, and this is the artist grade line of the Lucas 1862. I'm going to do a review, but basically the Lucas is the only artist grade paint that I would not recommend to anybody. I actually think the Van Goghs are much better deal than the Lucas paints. Actually, the Van Goghs are probably one of my top two student grades, the Van Gogh and the Winsor Newton, and I think I like the Van Goghs better. I also have a test of the White Knights and the Gansai Tambi. I was really surprised with how brilliant the Gansai Tambi came out. The White Knights are okay. I think I expected a lot more out of them, but they're alright. I'll have a review of these at some point also. More tests. So this is the Schminke Academy, and this is the Daler-Rowney Simply line. I really think that at this point, even super duper cheap paints can look really vibrant, so that's not the most important thing about the paints, but for example, you can see here with this blending, that didn't really happen. They were really separate. They mostly didn't go into one another. Just some silly figure painting attempts. I did a lot of plein air sketching nearby. So these are a combination of gouache and watercolor. I believe this is the Frauenkirche. This is Mystery Plum Tree and Mystery Apple Tree in my neighborhood. And this is a path that leads down to the Elbe. I think this is a drawing from a picture on Instagram, and I'm pretty sure that this is the Old Holland Ultramarine, which I was super in love with and I'm still in love with. And this was also a really cool outfit post from a picture on Instagram. I went to Berlin and I went to the Neues Museum, and these are some sketches of sculpture that I saw there. More silly figure sketches. I really liked this one because I really liked her outfit. And this was a video I did with the Bulbasaur terrarium, if you haven't seen that one. That was a lot of fun. I like terrariums. So I did a series of these during the Olympics because I became obsessed with the Olympics. And it started with, this is Yona Knight Williams. I believe he is Jamaican. I don't know. He's West Indian Olympian, and I was really excited about that. And then I decided to look up who Trinidad was sending to the Olympics that year. So we had Felice Alicia Chow, and that was super exciting. We also had Thema Williams. We did not actually send her to the Olympics because of a really big controversy, but she had qualified and she was originally supposed to be the one who was sent. Took some notes about nature journaling and some kind of sketching swatches here. This is Marissa Dick. She's actually who we sent to the Olympics. We did not place or anything, but I did like the uniform that she had. It was a sparkly version of the Trinidadian flag. That was cool. And we also had Kishorn Walcott, who did a really good job. So after that, I started to do some really quick figure sketches while watching the Olympics. And I tried to do them just really super sketchy with really huge brushes and not a lot of detail. So I think this was women's judo, which I was watching, and I was trying to get a sort of sense of action between the people. Like I said, my sketchbook is really experimental, so I have some swatches of the Viviva color sheets here. I have some tests of the Karandash Museum pencils and layering. Random quote, decide to give yourself permission. And just trying different techniques with color pencils because I'm not really used to using them. This guy lifted 135 kilos, and that was pretty crazy. I thought trying to get his stance was a fun exercise. These were some girls getting ready for a swimming race. They're India, Fiji, and Ghana. This was fencing. I don't remember who this was, but I remember thinking that the way this guy dodged was really funny. So close, so close. I was trying out for Inktober different methods of drawing dogwood. So this is with a regular fine liner pen. This is ink and brush, and this is using a metal nib. I actually really enjoyed using the nib. So more playing around with the Viviva color sheets. I think this was the original one. I made some sakura petals and different things, calligraphy. I have some notes here about line variation. Use it to make structure, depth, and shadow in a painting. This is archery. Even though it's kind of muddy, I still liked how this came out. And running, marathoning, no, actually sprinting of some kind. Some more weightlifting, this time in gouache. I feel like gouache is a lot better for me to do quick sketches because it dries faster and there's not as much of an issue with like bleeding and stuff like that. So I liked that I was able to get this guy's screaming face in there. This is actually one of my favorite ones because it just looks so ridiculous. This is a ping pong match and they are so intense. Can you see it? Can you see how intense they are? They are really intense. I did a couple of studies, light studies. This is from Mr. Robot. I don't remember what episode this is from, but I think I just liked the colors and the light in the room. This one is in gouache and this one is in watercolor. This is, I think, in the diner. And I really liked like the blues and reds of this scene. Studies. This is trying to find different ways to neutralize blues and then greens, making browns. I have stars by my favorite ones, so I really like Indanthrone Blue and Translucent Brown, Phthalo Blue and Translucent Brown, and Indanthrone Blue and Golden Baroque Red. This is like my favorite neutralization for ultramarine. A lot of people use burnt sienna, but I don't really like having burnt sienna on my palette, and I think that it works really well with Golden Baroque Red. It makes this nice kind of grayish color. I also like Prussian Blue with Golden Baroque Red, and this is Ultramarine Blue with Variation Red, which is very similar to Golden Baroque Red. This is actually really cool because sometimes it's difficult to get the color for a sandy beach. Phthalo Blue and Quinacridone Burnt Orange make a perfect sort of sandy beach color. And Phthalo Blue and Quinacridone Burnt Orange make a really nice, like kind of murky, dirty ocean color. So it's really cool to keep notes like this in your sketchbook because then you can go back and see all the different kinds of experiments that you did. More neutralization. It's really hard to neutralize purples, especially dioxazine purple. I don't feel like they do a really good job. Oh, this is so funny because this is the first time that I realized that when you mix purple and green, you get blue. That's not exactly what you'd assume, but that is exactly what happens. So yeah, not a lot of really great neutralization options with purple, but dioxazine purple and purulene green make this really nice inky black. It's really nice. And this is actually a cool brown, but I don't know if I have a lot of use for it. I have some happy faces here because I just like the colors. I don't really know what I would use them for, but I like how they look. That is a pear, and I don't know what I was doing with this page. I was playing around with gouache, I think. More pear stuff, just playing around with it. Berna is pear in German. So doing kind of like a pencil study of a pear with different notes. They have stripes radiating out of the tip, a stem like gnarled wood, lots of bruises, covered in brown freckles, not shiny, low contrast. Actually, I feel like pears are really difficult for me to paint. Like apples are not so difficult, but something about pears, I don't know. That's like my bugaboo. And I have a different color swatches information. So pencil, watercolor, and gouache. More color studies mixing. I guess I was trying to mix kind of like peachy colors here and kind of like darker purples here. This is a comparison of Lucas, M-Gram, Lucas again, Schminke, and M-Gram. I don't know if you guys have like this kind of weird issue sometimes with your M-Gram. I think this is Phthalo Blue and I think this is Quinacridone Magenta, where it has like this kind of weird flocculation. Not really sure what that's about, but I was just trying to check out dispersion and different things like that. This is like such a muddy quinacridone color. I don't think I've ever seen such a muddy one. And this is a very low staining phthalo. Like I said, I'm not really a fan of the Lucas. I think I was trying the saran wrap technique here, and then on top of it, I put a Winsor & Newton watercolor stick, just playing around with it. I just got a Pilot Color Eno Blue at the time, and I was trying it out. Whenever I get new stuff, I always try it out in my sketchbook. I got 2 Technolo graphite, water-soluble graphite pencils, and you can actually see the difference in the grades there. These are pretty cool, and I believe these are my Caran d'Ache Neo colors, which are super bright and great. So this was, I think, also a guy that I found on Instagram, and he was pretty cool. I liked his style overall. This was a lady, this is, I think, both of these were from the Afropunk Festival. This was a lady from the Afropunk Festival. I really liked her blue afro, but I never ended up finishing it. I had just some sketches on here, and I was going to cover it up with a gouache painting, but I never ended up finishing it. So that's how she is now. So there's some practicing with ink. I was really just trying to figure out how you make form with ink. It was really confusing to me. A lot of people come to painting from drawing, so they have a pretty good understanding of using line to convey shape. But I was never really big into drawing, so I really struggled with this, but I think Inktober helped me a lot with that. So this is supposed to be a fig. Maybe you can't tell, but yeah, this was supposed to be a fig. And these are a bunch of tomatoes, which actually don't look that bad. So more attempts at figuring out how to use line. I think this is a beechwood plant that I saw. And then just some mark making notes about different kinds of marks that you can make. I do this a lot when I don't understand something. I just fill up pages of trying to figure it out. And obviously I have a ton of pages like this. I think these are the new Vivia color sheets, or maybe the old ones, I'm not sure. But I was trying to do different things with them. And the same thing here, I think I was trying to figure out certain colors. I voted, obviously. So this is just playing around with working with graphite and how to convey form with that, and the uterus. That was for a project that I did. So this is actually, I took a natural history illustration course online, and that was really instructive, and I learned a lot. And one of the things that they had us do was make a chart of our pencils. So I did from 10H to 8B, which is what I had. And we also had to do the modeling of some 3D forms and different types of strokes. So just learning different ways of how to make marks. I keep swatching out these color sheets. I'm not really sure why. Actually, no, these are not the Vivia color sheets. I'm not sure what these are. Something else. But this is an American goldfinch, a really simplified geometric version that I did in gouache. I had a lot of fun doing these. This is a trupal, which is I think the national bird of Venezuela. And it's such like a really beautiful, colorful bird. And I also was really happy because I was having a lot of trouble with bird feet. And I feel like I did a really good job here. And this is a cedar waxwing, which is also a really pretty bird. Yeah, you can probably guess what that's about. I got some Daler-Rowney paints, and I love this PY153. It is such like a sunny, golden, brilliant color. It's kind of amazing. I like their 209. Their 209 sometimes have some like issues with flocculating, so I'd like to try a different brand and just some other colors and seeing their interactions. I was practicing some loose florals for a gift that I made for someone. And these were just some watercolor swatches that I actually made for a digital product as backgrounds. I really like how the Old Holland Ultramarine gives this like really nice texture here. More experimentation. I think I was trying to figure out how to move things around in my palette and what I needed and what I didn't. So here I was actually looking at the difference between these two phthalo blues, and I found out that they are way too close together that for it to make sense to have them in my palette. So I don't have them both in my palette now. I was trying to see how to make a nice teal, different ways of making purples. Obviously here I was really working with trying to make earth tones. I wanted to see how water would affect the granulating of certain pigments. More tests. Testing out all my yellows because, as I've said before, I have a yellow obsession, and I think I wanted to see if I needed all of these yellows in my palette. I think I removed a couple of them. Testing out these kind of mid-range browns also to see if they were all necessary. Testing out making different types of neutrals. Once again, looking at that phthalo blue color and trying to see what makes sense. I think in the end, I ended up with the M-Gram phthalo blue and the Rembrandt phthalo blue. And I had these colors, and I was trying to decide if I needed a 255 and 254. And for sure, I definitely replaced the Van Gogh 254 with the Rembrandt 255, which I think is mislabeled. I think that's a 254. I really like this green earth, and this was just, I was testing and seeing what Rembrandt paints I wanted to add into my palette. I had the same color, the Rembrandt 184 and the Van Gogh 184, and you can see the Rembrandt is a lot clearer and more vibrant. When you make this green, it's just like jumping in this one, and this one is like, okay. So the Rembrandt, the Van Gogh is a really good student grade paint, but if you can get the Rembrandt, I still think that it's worth it to upgrade. But you see, it's not like a huge difference. They're just marginally different. These are some mushrooms, a king's trumpet mushroom, some fly agaric mushrooms, super tiny, cute ones. I think I did this for the Women's March. It was just a group of ladies there. Some more mushrooms, saffron milk cap, which I had never heard of before. It's a really intriguing kind of orange mushroom, and some cremini mushrooms, normal button mushrooms. I don't remember what kind of mushrooms these are, and I don't have it written down, but they were fun to draw. Oyster mushrooms, maybe? This is a scene that I took a picture of when I had visited some family in Trinidad. Ali's Roti shop. I don't think we actually ended up eating there, but I really loved the really bright colors that this shop had. I was using a limited palette, I think 3 colors, from Rembrandt, trying this out. A really quick sketch of this guy's face in water-soluble graphite. Trying out some kind of muted palettes. So this is Klingold, Pure Red, and Ultramarine. This is Ultramarine Indian Yellow and Pure Red. So the difference here is Indian yellow versus Queen gold. Interesting. This is for a project review. This is for a product review that I will come out soon. And it was just a little pinup. More sketches, more tests with notes about mixing reds, blues, teals, yellows. Yellow is a really difficult color to work with. Painting yellow things and figuring out what's a good yellow shadow tone is very difficult. I have here a sort of note about how to do it. So you can use purple, but that ends up just looking straight gray, which is not really interesting. But if you add a purple plus a little bit of a desaturated yellow or a brown, it makes it look a lot better. Making oranges, making greens, notes, making purples, making pinks. Isn't that like a really nice range of pinks? Making neutrals, testing out the paints that Luna Howell sent me, which were awesome. This is actually really interesting. This is Potter's Pink and Raw Sienna. I don't really know what I would use this for, but it feels like a really nice texture. Also, different things that you can do with Serpentine. And this is Kyanite and a really cool lemon yellow, PY53. It's really good to keep notes on this stuff because if I didn't, I wouldn't remember anything. Trying out just dropping color into water, seeing what shapes form. Trying out different water-soluble mediums that I have. So the Daniel Smith sticks, Wynyard Newton stick, Caran d'Ache, Neocolor, the Museum, Faber-Castell, Albrecht Dürer, so just trying them all out. A really quick sketch of an older Asian woman. I had a lot of fun doing her wrinkles and stuff like that. And I had earlier just done some testing here and I painted over that. And the last thing is a castle that I was trying out, a type of landscape painting technique. I'll try it out again. So I'm the kind of person who puts tons of papers in the back of their sketchbook, so I'll show you these and then we'll be done. So I did this sketch on a train. I think we were coming back from Berlin. A sketch in a cafe. So some more sketches, I think from the Neues Museum in Berlin. This is a garden shop nearby me. Random paint, I'll use this for something later. Another nearby castle, I think there was a concert that day. That's why they have like a little tent set up in front of it. Testing out a pencil, Starbucks. And trying out, I don't remember what this perspective is called, but on the inside of a tram. And then this is when I was at a doctor's office waiting. This is using the Viviva color sheets actually. I feel like almost all doctor's offices in Germany have plants in them, which is kind of funny. He had a lot of art, original art from people around, and this is like a little kid's table. A geometric bear that I did in a Skillshare class, that was a lot of fun. A pine cone branch that I started and stopped because I realized that that was insane. I think this is a test of the Daler-Rowney paints. This is, I think, buckthorn that I took at the botanical garden nearby. Painting of Obama, before he was no longer president. Painting of Michelle before she was no longer the First Lady. And then I think these are just some notes and obviously calligraphy from my sister. And that's it. So I hope that was entertaining, and that was one of my sketchbooks. So you can see what's inside. Hope that you enjoyed it, and I thank you for watching. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.